How beautiful the book is. I cannot look into my pages. It reminds me of the ending. Wait, what? This book is literally like a meditation to me. I'm having an irritation in my eyes even while talking about this book. I also remember reading an article somewhere where a guy said that he stopped consuming meat after reading this book. I was like basically multitasking with this book. I just could not put the book down. Who does not have the ambition to read one book each day so that by the end of the year we read approximately 365 books and make it like a crazy deal about it?
What?
I think that is going to be the biggest flex that anybody who reads books will ever kind of have, but I don't know how far that is possible. But I may not help you to read one book each day for the next 365 days, but at least I can make your reading goal get achieved. Okay, how? I have checked out a list of 10 very interesting short books which you can sit with every morning, one book each day with a cup of coffee, and get done with the book on that very day and move on to the next one the next day. These are either going to mess with your head, heal your heart, brew your heart with emotions, or leave you in complete silence. So basically an amalgamation of a lot many things all together. So without any further bug, let's just move on to the video because we have a lot to talk anyways. Okay, the first one is a classic and one of my most cherished or favorite classics of all time. Okay, now because it's classic, half the people are going to skip this part, but I tell you, you're gonna read this because this is about this poor guy who finds a pearl, assuming that the pearl is going to basically change his destiny. He basically hopes that the pearl that he found will change his destiny because pearls are expensive, obviously, and he comes from a very poor background. Now, does that happen? Of course not. But what eventually happens is extremely haunting. Okay, it hits extremely hard. I literally picked this on a whim. I bought this on a whim. I read this on a whim. When I read the last page, I was like, I was not being able to process it. It is so daunting. And the book that I'm talking about is The Pearl by John Steinbeck. I don't know how many of you have experienced John Steinbeck's writing, but I think he is one of the finest writers the century has produced. I tell you, John Steinbeck is my most favorite authors of all time, like one of my most favorites. And The Pearl came out as a complete surprise to me. I myself also read this book in a single sitting. Single sitting means single sitting. ऐसा नहीं कि मतलब दिन भर लगा कर पढ़ रही हूँ मैं. Actually, I was reading it, and the story obviously is not like very pacey that you're gonna read it in like a single straight go. But for me, I did in a straight go. But it just happens to be like a little slow burner type. So you start it slow, but midway you are like, what, I want to read more to find out what happens next, and then whatever happens in the end is like just devastating. I am very happy to be talking about a few books that I don't see a lot of people talk about, and the next one is also from that very list. Now let me ask you a question. What does come to your mind when you think about the word disturbing, or maybe contact lenses? Because anytime somebody talks about contact lenses, I am taken back to this book, and not in a very good way, to be very honest. A book that is written from a perspective of a young girl, and there's this eerie offbeat tone that kind of crawls under your skin, and I tell you, you will want to keep flipping page after page to find out what happens in the end. And the book is Nails and Eyes by Kaori Fujino. I think the title of the book is enough in itself to give you a brief on what the book sounds like. It's very weird, okay? It's very weird, very disturbing. I mean, I'm having an irritation in my eyes even while talking about this book. The next one is a very famous one. I don't think the author or the book in itself needs any introduction, but yet I'm here to recommend you this book because it's never enough. And before we talk about the book, let me tell you how I personally read the book. I was literally reading this book while walking, eating, lying down, working. I was like basically multitasking with this book. I just could not put the book down. Although this book was not like a 5-star read for me, but I think if you are somebody who wants to get into reading and you are in a reading slum or something like that, basically if you're in a situation where you are not around books but you want to be around books, I think this book really comes in handy. And the book I'm talking about is Never Lie by Freida McFadden. A lot of you will agree with why I'm saying that. You will not see the climax coming at all. At least I didn't see. If you are like a thriller pro, then you might also kind of predict, but for me, I could not not predict. I predicted a little bit, but I thought कि यार इतना तो नहीं होगा, but then it happened like that. I was surprised, and the favorite part of me reading the book is I was in a spree of reading more books after I kind of wrapped this book, because this book was so engaging. Like, I could not stop myself from reading the book, and it definitely has a moment like, wait, what? The third book, let me tell you, is the only book by the author that I have read. I would not say that I was disappointed, because again, it is a thriller. It has elements that can keep you at the edge of your seat, but again, not that impressed to pick other books by the author. Now, all the readers across the globe has a love-hate relationship with this author because of all right reasons, and I think this one is very popular book, very very popular, and the book is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now, Colleen Hoover is a very controversial author, but I would recommend people to read Verity by Colleen Hoover, if not anything else, because of the fact that the book has some really like jaw-dropping moments. It has some smut in it, so not recommending for people who are below 18, but it is disturbing, yes. It is thrilling, yes. I read it in a single sitting, again, not even taking a day throughout. Just I sat down with the book, I got up from the seat once I was wrapped with the book. The book is very small again, but the size does not matter if the book is really good and pacey, and I think the pace is really nice with this book. It is creepy, romantic, disturbing. Sometimes it's also like very uncomfortable, at least it was for me at some point, and it was like betrayal kind of a story, so I really enjoyed it. Not that I would really want to experience it myself, but I would really want to experience this on television in the form of TV series or movie, because it is interesting. Okay, I think I would love to visualize those things, not in my head but right in front of my eyes. So yeah, that is how I feel about this book. I insist people to read this book if you want to read this book in a single sitting, or if you want to read books in a single sitting, or you're in a reading slump or something. So I think this book can really come to your rescue. The next one is a book that can quietly wreck you, and very thought-provoking book. Short yet thought-provoking, and I'm not even surprised that this book won the Nobel Prize. But again, as the book is thought-provoking, it did not leave a great mark in my head. But again, I think that it is one of those books that you would not want to miss, and you would want to read once in your lifetime. So the book is basically about this woman who kind of stops eating meat suddenly out of the blue, and it spirals into basically a deep psychological unraveling. I think it is very beautifully written, but it's very unsettling, like in the head. Okay, I also remember reading an article somewhere where a guy said that he stopped consuming meat after reading this book, although it has nothing to do with cannibalism or anything, so don't be worried. And the book is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. But yeah, one book that you can actually read in a single sitting, not because of its genre or anything, but because of how intense and how disturbing and unsettling the book is. The sixth one is one of my most favorite one, a very 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 wholesome, very vibrant book. It is basically like a warm hug, okay, very comforting, very cozy, and the story is basically only about this small little girl and her umbrella. And yeah, it sounds like kya hi hai na, that 90-100 page book kind of melts your heart so much. It's like so comforting, so beautiful, so soft in nature that it's like a bedtime story. And the book that I'm talking about is The Blue Umbrella by Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond is genius, just genius. The next book is another Indian book that I was very impressed by. I mean, I have seen a few people talk about it, and I think I have not seen a lot of people talk negatively about it, which is not even surprising, because the book is so small yet it delivers so much. Especially if you're an Indian, I think you would relate to it to the core. So I read this book while I was traveling from my Masi's place, and coming down to my home, so it took me 12 hours. The book is shorter than that, obviously, and I listened to it on Audible or something, and I don't have the physical copy of the book with me. I don't know why. This is like the best book, one of the best Indian books that I have read, or at least heard. And the book is basically like an eavesdropping on a family's darkest secrets. So every family, every Indian family or families in general have some secrets that we kind of protect from outsiders to see. But this book was so raw that it kind of gave us a sneak peek into each family's darkest secrets, and it is basically like all the typical Indian families, but again, so relatable. One of the books that you can read it in a single go but spend hours thinking about it, because of how intense and heavy the sentences feel when you read the book. And the book is Ghachar Ghochar by Vivek Shanbag, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think I desperately need to get my copy soon and reread the book, because things have gotten a little hazy in my head, but the book deserves a reread. Okay, the next book is basically one book that had a very intense theme, a very, very, very heavy, very nice theme, but I feel the execution was a little poor. I don't know how many of you will agree with me in this case, because this book I don't think have gone unnoticed by anybody. Everybody knows about this book. I don't think there's anybody left in this world who did not read the book. The book is quite packed, very psychological. It plays with your head, and it is very thought provoking. I love the theme of the book, and that is the reason I'm recommending. It is not like one of those books that is just humorous or just stupid, one of those contemporary stupid books. It kind of delivers a lot. The book is basically about this woman who wants to just sleep all her life.
I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted.
And why we get to, that is the theme, okay? Why she wants to sleep all the time. She just thinks that bhai yehi zindagi hai, sleep gives her pleasure, and she thinks that this is the only way to surpass her lifetime. And I think it is very obvious why somebody feels like that, because she's not mentally right, she's not mentally doing good, so she thinks that she can escape life by sleeping. So this is a very intense topic to discuss in a book, and I think the author could have done a little better with not like a very Americanized language. She could have written it in a very subtle manner. There are things that I didn't like about the book. For example, the writing. I was not a big fan of the writing, but I really loved the theme. I really loved the friendship that the protagonist kind of shares with her friend in the book, and how the friend, despite the fact that the protagonist is not paying her much attention or not being kind enough to her existence, she still keeps pestering her with or at least looking out for her, being concerned about her. So I think I liked the silly things about this book. And the book that I'm talking about is My Years of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. Because of how flowy the writing is, how lucid the writing is, I think you can easily read it in a single sitting. Book is almost always interesting, so you don't kind of feel like bored and all. So I can easily say that it is short and easily readable. The ninth one is one of my most favorite books of all time. I can read, breathe, eat, talk, and do everything around this book or with this book. I have not read anything so sad, so beautiful, so poetic in my entire existence of reading books, apart from this one book. Like, I have gotten my heart broken so many times by reading certain paragraphs from the book, just with the fact that the book is so devastating for me. Like, if you want to read a book that will make you cry like a baby, if you want to read good romance, if you want to know how heartbreak feels like through characters, if you want to read good writing that can literally melt down your heart, exceptionally poetic writing, I think you definitely have to read The Broken Wings by Khalil Gibran. Khalil Gibran is very popular for The Prophet. I love that book as well, but The Broken Wings has set a bar for me when it comes to good writing, good romance, devastation in terms of literature, and sad book. I think it has set a bar of its own, and there's no other book that can actually reach that bar for me. I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied with any book as much as I am satisfied with this one book. This is everything basically, and I cannot tell you how beautiful the book is. I read this book in 2019 or 2020 for the first time, and since then I had everything very vivid in my mind about this book. Every other character was basically crawling in my head ever since I read this book. But this time, this year, in the early 2025, I realized that I got to reread this book again, and I reread this book, and now and if you actually want to read something soulful and reflective and about love, loss, fate, destiny, and how destiny can literally flip your entire existence, I think, oh my god, you got to read The Broken Wings by Khalil Gibran. I cannot emphasize on that one book enough. I also would love to show my copy so that you know how much I love that book because of all the annotations, the highlights and everything. Just give me a moment, I'll get my copy, which is right there. This was actually peeking from there कि भाई मेरे को दिखा दो लोगों को. This is the book. This is the book. I cannot look into my pages. It reminds me of the ending, but I'll just show you the annotations, okay? Can you see the color? Yes, that is how brutally and religiously I have annotated the book, like literally. Just check this one out again. Some characters and some books kind of lives rent free in your heart, and this one book is going to live rent free in my heart until my last breath. I will not stop talking about this book. Even if you say कि Simran, you're recommending the same old book, I will not listen to you because I cannot listen anything against this book, and I want the entire world to be reading this book. Not because you will learn anything from it essentially, but only so that you know what love look like. We as a generation are failing to love people. I think we really need to learn from these books on how to love and how to do it unconditionally, and how to accept destiny if that doesn't work in your favor. I can basically keep ranting about this book all my life, all throughout this video, but yeah, we have to move on. Let's move on to the last book. The last book is again one of the books that I don't see anybody talk about at all, and I think we gotta read this book. Like, a lot of people, a lot of women needs to read this book. It basically surrounds around a female protagonist. This book will mess with your head so much because of the fact कि आपको इतना बुरा लगेगा कैरेक्टर मतलब प्रोटैगनिस्ट के लिए कि भाई you will want to just make the character alive, hug her and be like कि तुम मेरे घर ही रहो यार, you are safe here. And the book is Sadie by Jane Elliott. I stumbled upon this book in a walking book fair in my town, and I read it. I could not stop reading it. It's so addictive. Like, you read the first few pages, it's sad. Okay, the book is sad. It is like about a girl who is molested and harassed. The book is very powerful. It has a lot of feminist elements in it. The book is very relatable to every woman because we all go through this kind of thing every now and then in any part of the world. Like, basically women are not safe anywhere, that's what I mean to say. And I think this book was so relatable to me that I kept reading, and I found myself in the book as if like I am the character there, because I was actually feeling like everything that was happening with the character was happening with me. And only I think because of the fact that the book is relatable and sad and daunting in nature, I think I could not stop reading it. And I read it, and I actually read it. I won't say that I read it in a single sitting or a single day. I read it like in 2 days. So if you wish, you can read it even lesser than that, because of the short chapters and because of how engaging the book is. And something or the other keeps happening. So it's, despite the fact that it's not a thriller, it is more like literary. Even then, you kind of feel like reading that until you flip the last page, and then it becomes one of your favorite books of all time. And now when I'm talking about this book, I really feel the need to go back to the book. So with this, we come to the end of the video. If you're somebody who have never read any book at all, or who is in a reading slump and don't know where to start, I think these books, if you haven't read already, can come to your rescue. I have tried to inculcate all kinds of genres and all kinds of books, not just classics or not just thrillers. So I think this is going to come into your rescue. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing to my channel, and let me know what is one book that kind of pulled you out of a reading slump. I would love to check that book out. And also let me know what kind of videos would you like to see more, like what kind of book recommendations or what kind of books or content would you like to see in general, because I don't know, I just run out of content most of the time, and I would really be grateful if you could help me with that. And yeah, I'll be really happy to make a video out of it, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, happy reading, and yeah, bye bye.